Hi Aries, and welcome to your horoscope for May 2020. Thank you for joining me. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I'm going to give you a rundown of what's happening in May. I've looked at the planets, and this is for all of you guys, Aries. Let's start on the 3rd of May. Something significant happens there. Venus forms a square with Neptune. Venus is the planet of love and beauty. Neptune is the higher octave. It's like humanitarian love, love on a global level. Venus is in your 3rd, Neptune is in your 12th. So you're really able to communicate with the higher realm very easily on the 3rd and the 20th. Excuse me, burping. On the 3rd and the 20th, with this Venus-Neptune square, you're able to really make a lot of spiritual progress and to develop in what you see about yourself and the connection you make to the other side, the connection you make with the higher self or other beings, higher beings, or you channel. Anything like that is really good on the 3rd and 20th. On the 7th of May, we have a full moon in Scorpio. And the full moon is when the moon is totally lit up and it releases the energy that it's been building up to. It's in Scorpio, it releases loads of Scorpio energy, which allows you to uncover hidden truths about your work. If you're employed, you'll see it for what it is. And I don't think you're going to be satisfied with it. And I feel that you're going to make a change to your working life, or at least you will definitely want to. On the 11th of May, Saturn retrogrades until the end of September. Saturn is security, the platform on which you build your house, your life. It's the head teacher who says, this is what you're supposed to be doing with your life. Let's have a look. When it's retrograde, the security and structure comes from within you. That's why the 3rd and the 20th are gifts, because you're able to have those flashes of insight and go within and really understand how you can be a humanitarian in a sense, or do work which really pleases you instead of work that is just repetitive and you're in a booth and you don't like it anymore and you want to do something different. You're going to have a strong urge here in May to change things up. I think you're frustrated, you're spinning your wheels, you're revving your wheels, you want things to go. That's the energy I'm getting from you guys. On the 12th of May, Mercury goes into the sign of Gemini, the sign it rules, and then it goes into Cancer on the 29th. Mercury in Gemini is articulate, it's a wonderful communicator, and it's sitting there with Venus in the 3rd house, which squares Neptune. So now you have even more of a connection, more of an insight. It's like a satellite floating around you now, connecting you to the higher realms, and they are going to give you answers about your true nature, your job. It's, a lot of people are like, you can't pray about money and jobs and what you're going to eat for dinner. God is not a cash point machine, or your higher self isn't like a cash point machine. No, it isn't. It's simply the truth. And when the truth is laid bare and you then do your own work that you've seen within, a side effect will be that you make much more money and that you're much happier because the job is fulfilling. So use Saturn retrograde until September, the summer here in the Northern Hemisphere, the winter in the Southern Hemisphere. Use that to discover what you're meant to do work-wise. If you're retired, what are you meant to work on? On the 13th of May, Mars, the planet of desire and masculinity, moves into Pisces in your 12th house of spirituality. Mars does not like being in Pisces. It rules the first sign of the zodiac, not the last sign of the zodiac, which is Pisces. So even Mars, the soldier, is forced to gallop off into the higher realms. It's sitting there with Neptune and to discover who you are and what you're supposed to be doing for work. You guys have the best month in terms of reinventing yourself as a new money-making machine. So you guys who are interested in becoming money-making machines, this is your month to do it. Through your ability to communicate with your higher self and then to put it into practical action, and you're set. Venus goes retrograde on the 13th as well. Venus is the planet of love and beauty and creativity. Venus stays in retrograde until June 25th. When Venus is in retrograde, it's very important not to get into a new relationship if you can possibly help it, to open a new business if you can possibly help it, to pour your love into something that you create. Don't do anything like that if you can possibly help it during Venus retrograde, because Venus retrograde puts a fog. It creates a fog where you can't see clearly and you fall in love with people and things that you would never fall in love with if you could see properly. When Venus goes direct, you'll look back and you're like, what was I doing? So don't waste your time during the Venus retrograde. Before it happens, so the first, I don't know why I'm stuttering so much. The first 13 days of the month, use that to get your ideas about this new business work. Put it into practice before the 13th, before Venus goes retrograde, and then work on it, because then it's not something new, it's something that's already in place. And work your way through it. That's the best way to use the energy. Don't bother with relationships so much. If you're in a relationship, that's going to go well, that's going to be fine. The rising ascendant is at 22 degrees in Leo. But new relationships, a no-no during the retrograde. On the 14th of May, we have Jupiter going retrograde as well until September the 12th. So Jupiter is the lucky planet. With that going retrograde, the luck comes from within. So you've got Saturn giving you this structure within. Now good luck is added to it. Boom, you can really create a whole new life and you can transform. Pluto is sitting on top of that as well in Capricorn in your 10th house of career. So you can utterly transform your working life existence on planet Earth. You could go from being a lawyer to a chef, or a counselor to an engineer. You can make a huge leap. Amazing. And it's in place until September. So you're being given months to just really figure it out and do what you want. That's freedom. 17th of May, Jupiter, the lucky planet, forms a trine with the Sun. Sun is in your second house of money. It's in Taurus, and it's your identity. It connects with Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto. So the 17th is one of the best days to reinvent yourself. You get a reprieve from Venus retrograde. The 17th and the 20th, you get a reprieve from Venus retrograde. So you can start new things on those days. Finally, on the 22nd, and this lasts until the end of the month, we've got the new moon in Gemini. And the new moon is when the moon pulls in loads of Gemini energy to recharge its batteries so that it can do its next cycle and become a full moon again. So it's pulling in loads of Gemini energy into your third house of communication and the way you think. And that still squares Neptune and Mars in the 12th house. So you are able to really develop spiritual strength and make spiritual progress. And that's gonna then obviously have an impact on your life here on planet Earth, because it's gonna flow over. So if you know that you're supposed to be doing this kind of work and that you're supposed to be living in this country, and you know it as a definite, then you book the ticket and you apply for the job and you're out of there and you're working in Cuba from England. If you decide to do it, do it. I've done that. I went to Australia with one suitcase, and I did my master's degree there. You are going to be able to connect with the higher realms. So those of you who don't care about money and work, those of you who are looking for spiritual awakening and pulling aside the veil, the intuitive Aries people, you guys are going to, this whole new world is going to be open to you. Also, the creative Aries types, you're going to be able to create wonderful things that you communicate. Books, paintings. Yeah, it's a wonderful time. Art, crafts. You're in a mode where you're totally tuned in and you're able to translate that into the physical. And that is what really, really makes this month exceptionally good for you, Aries. So have a wonderful time in May. It looks amazing. If you would like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, you can just click on book your reading. And to draw up your chart, I need your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. The astrology chart shows me everything about you. It's like what I'm looking at down here on my computer. I can see your life purpose, your vocational aptitudes, love, romance, where the best place is to live. But if you don't have the time of birth, then please order a chart rectification on the website. That's a process where you give me 10 or more life events and I work out the time of birth, because it totally changes the houses around if you don't have the time of birth, and it's far less accurate. So if you don't have the time of birth, get in touch for a rectification. We can actually make your chart accurate and read it properly. If you like this video, then please subscribe and share it online. Have a wonderful May, and I'll speak to you next month.